Hello and welcome to Arrivals of Ixalan Sealed League. This is Old Man Poole. We've been drafting a lot lately and I've been enjoying the format immensely, but I feel like there's never quite as much attention paid to Sealed as there should be, so I'm going to give it a shot here. This is actually only I guess this is the third Sealed I did in the format. I did one pre-release in paper and then one pre-release on Magic Online when they did their sort of special pre-release thing this set. Let's, I guess, start out by looking at our rares. Okay, Carnage Tyrant, obviously pretty solid. 7/6 for 6, so that is hexproof and trampling. Pretty hard for a lot of opponents to interact with. Awakened Amalgam's not super exciting. Atali's super good. Path of Discovery is also probably pretty good and sealed. I actually had this in my pool on the Magic Online pre-release, and I think I ended up cutting it. I had a bunch of really big dinos, and I think that I actually didn't need the inevitability, but I think Path of Discovery can be good. Gravestone's unexciting. Spell Swindle's probably mostly unexciting. Okay, well, a decent start. We got a couple of good green rares and a good red rare that we're maybe hoping to slot into the deck. Let's now do it by color. So usually what I do is I take the cards that I particularly like in a color and I put them in this kind of upper section here, and then playables here, and then I leave like sideboard cards and cards I'm not particularly excited about up and just the remaining in this spot. I'm going to go ahead and pull down each color and then talk about kind of the cards that I like in it and try and cut down a little bit on how long it usually takes me to build my deck for you guys watching, because I know that the beginning part of a sealed league often seems to take a little while. So let's just pull on white here. Alright, in white we have a lot of pretty good like utility cards. We've got 1 Luminous Bonds, 2 Ixalan's Binding, Territorial Hammerskull is pretty good. We've also got Squire's Devotion, which has been impressive to me. If your opponent doesn't have a way to interact with the creature, the lifelink can really take you over the top. We've got some kind of reasonable vampires, Paladin of the Bloodstained, Sanguine Glorifier, but not a ton to really make a synergistic deck work. Everdawn Champion. I put 1 Squire's Devotion up top and 1 below, because I think they probably are worse in multiples, but I think reasonably solid in white, not anything super absurd, but definitely a good removal color and maybe something good to pair with a little bit of a deeper color. Blue looks a little bit less exciting. We've got Expel from Morozka, Sailor of Means, and One with the Wind as the cards I'm pretty happy to play. And then kind of a bunch of sort of alright effects. Spell Swindle's fine. We've got Mistcloaked Herald, also Silvergill Adept if a Merfolk deck came together, but we don't have tons in blue, so we'd have to have a lot in green to be happy with it. Slippery Scoundrel can be a decent payoff. This actually may even should be up here and sealed. This does definitely steal the game if it goes long enough. Opt is fine, Sea Legs is fine, Soul of the Rapids is kind of unexciting. So, not in love with blue. Black feels a little bit stronger again. We've got Ravenous Chupacabra, one of the best uncommons in the set. A couple of Moment of Craving, which is a pretty reasonable start to removal suite. And then Mark of the Vampire has a similar effect to Squire's Devotion, can just kind of steal games if your opponent can't answer it. Also got Anointed Deacon, 3 Vampire Revenants, which is kind of a combo all on its own. Pitiless Plunderers, kind of Recover is pretty solid. I think you'll play one of them in sealed for sure. Pathfleet Border, Dusk Legion Zealot, Direfleet Hoarder, and Dinosaur Hunter. I think our black looks pretty reasonable here. Definitely. Like, I like flyers a lot in the format. I think they tend to be what breaks up board stalls on the ground. And Anointed Deacon with Vampire Revenant hits really hard. So I think black could potentially be a pretty good color pair for us as well. So our red's okay. We don't have absolute boatload of playables. Our high end's pretty good. I do like Atali a lot. Bombard's very solid removal. Gianoli's Knight's pretty solid as well. But we have kind of a bunch of sort of filler cards after that. We have a Fanatical Firebrand, which is fine, but not exciting. We have a Rozka Raptor. We actually have 2, but I think I'd only ever play 1 unless we really were desperate for playables. Tianoli's Crown, Brazen Buccaneers, Headstrong Brute. This is a very good card if you are aggressive enough to really get it going, but it's not looking like we've got support for it yet, unless we've got tons in green, in which case we won't have too many other pirates. Mutiny's solid. That's a little bit worse than sealed, I think, since you're not quite as desperate to kill early creatures, and a lot of times you have to answer your opponent's bomb, which Mutiny doesn't do as well. Not super impressed by white, or sorry, by red. White seemed fine. Well, I'm a little bit disappointed with our green. I was really hoping this would be the color that pulled it all together. We do have a Carnage Tyrant, we have 2 Colossal Dreadmaws, we've got a lot of stuff at the top end, which I think is how green is going to win in sealed leagues. Since it's kind of slow, you can afford to resolve things like Colossal Dreadmaw, and hopefully they just take over the game. We have one Hunt the Weak, Path of Discovery, but the rest is really pretty filler. Aggressive Urge is okay, Frillback's okay, Confidant's okay. Wild Growth Walker's probably just a 1-3, but I guess it's playable. I mean, it's not terrible. I think we probably would play Crashing Canopy, or Crushing Canopy in Sealed. There's a lot of good enchantments going around, there's a lot of reasonable flyers. I think this is going to have a hit most of the time. We do have 2 plummets, so this is something we could play against a deck that's like really heavy flyers and maybe get them pretty good. But green, I don't know. The green's top end, I guess, is maybe good enough, but it doesn't seem overwhelmingly powerful to me. For the golden commons, I do like Direfleet Neckbreaker if we can be aggressive enough. I'm not sure our red was really deep enough, and I'm not sure our black was deep enough on Pirate specifically to love it. And I think one of the worst things you can do in Sealed is have an aggressive deck that doesn't quite get there, and Direfleet Neckbreaker definitely needs you to be aggressive. And it needs you to have a fair number of pirates too, so that might be a high bar. Belligerent Brontodon, I mean, we'd maybe play it, depending, probably not even. It costs a lot, and unless we've got a lot of cards that really take advantage. I guess that's pretty good with Cacophedon. Are there other things that I'm thinking of? I guess with Hardy Veteran it's kind of sweet. Snowworm Sentry, sorta. I think probably not something we want to play though. Oaken Seer is super good though. If we do end up in green-white, we're definitely happy to have that card. Lastly, we picked up 2 Stone Quarries, which maybe could let us play like green-white Splash Atali. That probably is a little ambitious, but maybe not terrible. Having Unknown Shores and Evolving Wilds though, that help that a little bit as well. So I think we could maybe do something like that. You do have pretty high incentive to play your bombs when you can in Sealed, but double color is always pretty tough. I think we're going to start off by cutting off our blue. I think, well, it's fine. It's the worst of our colors, and I think we do have some good options to choose from. I think outside of our bombs, that white-black is probably just the color pair we should play. Our black feels pretty reasonable, and our white seems pretty solid as well. I mean, Vampire Revenant plus Squire's Devotion can really get there for sure. But maybe I'll put together a couple of different decks here and see what we like out of this. Alright, so baseline, just looking at the playables we had in red and green, we look at something like this. Don't think we'd like to play Wild Growth Walker. Hitstrong Brute's probably not great in this sort of deck either. We're already cutting down pretty fast. Wily Goblin's not exciting. I guess the rest of our 2-drops are all playable. Don't love the Walker, certainly. I guess we played Diviner before the Walker. I think I actually maybe meant to pull him out. Everything else here is fine. I think that the biggest point of power here, though, is our top end already. We've got, Path of Discovery. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're just a little bit short on playables, especially, our red just feels pretty weak here. I like Tianali's Knight fine. Bombard and Mutiny are good, but I think our green feels deep enough. But things like Eroska Raptors, Brazen Buccaneers, Tianali's Crown, a lot of this is just kind of mediocre. So maybe let's look at our white-black, see what that combination is. I think if I had to guess, I am going to end up being green-white, and with things like its Oaken Seer and our Stone Quarries, I'm just going to actually try and splash Atali. But I do want to look at all the different decks here before we really settle in. So even before any cuts, I'm already liking the way our white-black looks better. I don't think Pitiless Plunderer is super exciting. Sanguine Glorifier and Paladin Bloodstone, I think both have some reasonable effects. We're kind of heavy on 4s. Probably wouldn't play all the Squire's Devotions in Mark of the Vampire. And honestly, Squire Devotion's probably just better than Mark. The +1/+1 is not super, that can be reasonably powerful, and that can matter. But the +1/+1 in Lifelink gets a lot of that same effect for 1 mana cheaper, and it gives you a 1/1. So I think we'll probably cut that. Probably don't need the Snubhorn unless we think we're really are going to be on the defensive. It's an okay card, but even if it turns into a 3/3 late in the game, it's not like it's absurd or anything. Territorial Hammerskull is a little bit awkward in this deck because it's a 3-cost 2/3 a lot of the time. I think we're going to try and win with Vampire Revenants in the air if we go this route, and just some good removal. I'm a little bit worried that we just don't have quite enough creatures, so maybe we'd cut 1 more Squire's Devotion. I guess you can always shore up a vampire, but that's not super absurd. Recover gets a little bit worse too if you don't have tons and tons of creatures. We might run something like this. And I wonder if Bishop of the Bloodstain's good enough. We do have like 6, I guess maybe not tons and tons of vampires, and a couple other ways that we make them. Probably makes the Bishop good enough. Might be close though. We could play something like Duress if we really had to though as well. Kind of like putting in the well, I think the biggest fear of this deck is just we have too many 4s. But maybe that's okay. Maybe we can just afford to be a little bit slower. But if we like don't group our creatures out separately, our 4 slot's got to be just massive. Well, I guess there's only 2 more Ixalan bindings. This makes it actually look not quite as bad. Yeah, I think our white-black is probably good enough to actually consider this as a potential deck. Would we splash out of this deck? We still have the same option that we would to take some solid red cards that we would if we were playing green. Maybe not quite as good because we can't play Zokenseer, but pretty close. We have Evolving Wilds, 2 Stone Quarries already. Could even play an Unknown Shores. That starts getting a little bit awkward because that's a lot of slow mana potentially, but it can be done. I think this version of the deck probably would just splash for Bombard and Natali. Does that hurt our mana too much? The double red really does make it quite a bit tougher. I think those are the cards that we would splash for though. So if we look at the deck like this, I think we are going to cut one of our 4s. I guess maybe the Sanguine Glorifier is the least relevant. Vampire Revenant just being a flyer is pretty significant. I think Paladin of the Bloodstained is a little bit better at gumming up the ground than Glorifier is. Well, the Glorifier may be better in some matchups too. And then I guess we'd probably cut Recover instead of Squire's Devotion. I do like the potential this card has just to steal games. It does feel like we're cutting like reasonably good cards there though. And potentially bringing in like a whole lot of extra variants. Tali is really good. And the 2 double Stone Quarry makes it really tempting. So this mana base would let us go 7/7/3 with Evolving Wilds and Unknown Shores as well. It's not like absurdly good mana. And we have 5 red sources in this deck, if you're counting Unknown Shores. Everything else, I think it's okay. I think I'm going to take a quick peek at how red, white, green looks for us as well. But black got some power, so I could see this actually being a better deck. Alright, so again, if we pull in just kind of all the playables we can out of white, green, red, we have quite a few, 31, but we'd want to cut like Wildgrowth Walker and a Good World. Snubhorn Sentry I think bites the dust as well. Sanguine Glorifier gets quite a bit worse because the only other vampires we have are the Paladin of the Bloodstained and something we're getting from like Squire's Devotion or Queen's Commission. So we'd probably want to cut that as well. We'd maybe cut a Colossal Dreadnought out of this deck. We are just pretty heavy on the 6-drops, and we actually don't have any like real ramp per se outside of the Zokenseer. Sully's Diviner can kind of help as well, but it'd be a little bit of a push. So this deck actually doesn't have loads and loads of creatures either, so I think I'd probably cut a Squire's Devotion. Probably would keep 1. I guess Queen's Commission is realistically counts as a creature. Probably cut Crushing Canopy. I think this card is probably main deckable if you're a little bit tight, but if you're not, maybe you don't need it. I wonder if Path of Discovery is just not good with this few creatures. It's also a little bit higher on the curve. I could see maybe cutting that as well. So how does this pile compare to the white-black splash red pile? I actually think that the white-black might be better, even with Carnage Tyrant and the Seer to help splash. I mean, like, Crash the Ramparts, not particularly exciting. I guess this would probably be our final deck list. But what are we getting in green? Like, Araska Frillback, Ravenous Daggertooth, not real exciting. Both these 2-drops are fine, but not great. I think the black ones we get are as good or better. So really, we're just kind of getting some top end. I think most of the power in this deck is still in our white. I mean, now that we've kind of built it, it doesn't really hurt to keep it as an option. But I think that white, black, red is actually just going to be stronger, even though it doesn't have quite as much top end strength. The flyers, I think, will be as significant, and has access to things like the Chupacabra and Recover, which are just pretty solid all on their own. But all the same, let's add in all of our lands here and build the deck as if we were maybe going to play it, even though I don't think it's particularly likely. So this deck can ends up with a pretty similar mana base. The main advantage is we do have the Ixalan Seer, but it still ends up being like 7/7/4, which fine, but not crazy. Let's go ahead and save this. I think we are going to run with the white-black though for now. So taking one last look at this deck, I really do want to fit this Recover in. It's so very good if they have an answer for one of our really big threats, and it's just, if you recover a Ravenous Chupacabra, you just feel like you've already won. Kinda tempted to cut the Territorial Hammer Skull. It's probably just not correct. Even if our goal is to try and win in the air, Hammer Skull's pretty good. It can always be a blocker if you need it to, and we have some like good curve creatures as well, so it doesn't necessarily hurt us too much. I just don't know what I'd cut for the Recover is the thing. I guess maybe a Revenant? They're only okay without the Anointed Deacon. Like I said, I have kind of a bias towards flyers in general, but maybe that's just not quite as good. I mean, we can always get a dead flyer back if we want to with Recover. It does cut down our creatures even a little bit more, which makes Squire's Devotion potentially a little bit more awkward, but I think it'll usually be able to find a target. I do think the second one's probably a little bit too much, though. Okay, well the deck's pretty sweet. Kind of a shame not to play a Carnage Tyrant, but I do think this version just looks a little bit better. As always, definitely if you guys feel like you would have built the deck differently, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. I think this was kind of a close pool. It was an interesting one to build. But I will see you guys for match 1. Welcome back for match 1. This is Old Man Poole. I think we've unfortunately got a mulligan here. One swamp, even with things like Moment of Craving, even when we're on the draw, is just a little bit speculative. Our opponent's mulligan down to 6 as well, though. I think this hand is better. We don't have white for Monotramp, but we can at least play the Direfleet Hoarder. Let's go ahead and keep. And I do hate going to 5. Any hand that looks reasonable at 6, I'm generally going to keep. Guess we do keep this. We really don't want more lands on top of this, but we do need at least one white source too. Yeah, We could put it on the bottom and just say, I think finding more creatures actually might be better than having Moment of Triumph even at this point. I think I'm actually going to bottom this. Oh man, this feels so scary, because we could just never find white again. I think that's okay though. I think that we'll lose more games with Moment of Triumph and Direfleet Hoarder just drawing a bunch of lands than we will with finding other reasonable spells. I don't know though. And that may be pretty greedy. If we just draw like 2 planes in a row, we feel so bad though. Vampire Revenant. I think reasonable. I would have kept that on top, I think. Sightsail Corsair. Not my favorite. Does a pretty good job of starting the beat down, right? Another 2-drop and one we can play though. I do like that. I think we'll play the Direfleet Hoarder. We're happier to trade this off if that ends up being a thing. I would like to get to a position where we don't have to trade our Vampire Revenant for his Kitesail Corsair. Hopefully he doesn't just have a really good aggressive follow-up here too. Dusk Legion Zealot. Okay. Pairs fairly well against the Direfleet Hoarder. Means we can't attack into it. Unless we really did want to land. I guess it would let us play the Vampire Revenant a turn early. Do we care that much about that? Not a lot. Okay, Luminous Bond's not the best without a Plains draw. I guess if we swing in, he trades basically regardless. But maybe having the treasure as an option might be more important later on if we want to play like Luminous Bonds, and just ramping out the Vampire Revenant 1 turn earlier doesn't do all that much relative to drawing us another good card in effect, because we can't play it without the treasure. We trade off now. Don't think we're going to have a great way through the Dusk Legion Zealot. What if he has like... he was not going to use a kill spell on it though. I mean, not when it's going to give me a treasure anyway. If we swing, there's a chance he doesn't block, though. If he's smart, he might be like, man, this guy really wants the treasure. I think I'm going to want to trade this at some point anyway. I think I'm actually okay trading. My opponent gets good value, but yeah, I think there's a reasonable chance he just doesn't block there, which he didn't. And then we get 2 free damage, so... I think that was one of those situations where I wouldn't be terribly unhappy if he blocked. I'd definitely rather just get in for damage, but... Alright. Down to 16. Riverwise Augur. That's a good one. Ugh. It only being a 2/2 means that it doesn't just destroy our ground offensive at least, but he gets pretty good value here. This does a lot of the damage the mulligan would have done. Not that it's been real bad anyway, since he's curved out 2/2/4. I guess we've gone 2/2/4 if we find a land. Finding a couple of lands from this point forward would be really nice. Being able to play the Vampire Revenant and then the Anointed Deacon is, yeah, kind of the dream. That's a clock that most decks are going to have a tough time matching. Okay. Land? White, please? Ugh. Don't like that much. So do we swing with both? Probably just the Direfleet Hoarder. I don't want to... If we swing with both, he could just take it, and then we're losing the race. He may be a little bit more inclined to block this time, though. Since we played something last round. Nope. Okay. Well, I think that's still the correct attack, then. Now I really just kind of have to hope he doesn't find a bomb. We're a little bit behind. Missing the land drop hurt, certainly, there, but... And I don't know, it may all stem back to that one plains draw. If we draw on the plains instead, and everything else had been exactly the same, I think we'd be happier, but... Yeah, well, we will definitely block here. He's got a trick, but... We're not out of it, we're just a little bit behind. And I think it's likely... Ooh, wow, even the value of Evolving Wilds with the Riverwise Augur, he just gets to shuffle away a card. Ugh, don't like that. Doesn't quite have Ascend, I guess? I guess he's only at 8. Land? Even a Plains, cool. So I think it's very likely my opponent can Ascend next turn, which makes me very inclined to use the Luminous Bonds there. Guess if we use Luminous Bonds right away, then we could play Raptor Companion if he blocks. Probably still won't block. Then we take 1, we play Raptor Companion. If he wants to swing in, then the Raptor Companion can start getting back. I think that's okay. I think this guy's too dangerous to be left alive, realistically. Definitely a good card. So again, we'll offer the trade. We did find white now. Still not willing to. Okay. We trade 2 life for 1 life there. I don't think that's particularly bad. Did not use the Evolving Wilds. That's interesting. I guess he did not want to use up what he had on top. Let's have the City's Blessing now. Yep, and we go to 11 here. Paladin of the Bloodstained isn't bad. Not particularly crazy good either, though. So we can swing in. He blocks. We use Moment of Triumph. Doesn't even feel that good. We get to take care of a flyer. Really need to find more lands, though. We play Paladin of the Bloodstained. That gives us a 1/1. Next turn we take 5 and the go to 6, but then we swing ourselves back up to 7 with the 1/1. Lets us use white more effectively, because if we find a land that we can play, like Vampire Revenant plus Moment of Triumph, I think that's our best line. I don't think we can... Well, what happens if he does block? He does block. We use Moment of Triumph, we trade, we play that. I actually think that's okay, probably. I really do want to get the Spirewinder off the battlefield. I don't think we can afford to play around like Skullduggery or something here, although that would really blow us out if he had it. I think my opponent probably will just continue to take it here. It's kind of a dangerous block. It goes to 11. This Direfleet Hoarder's done a impressive swing into bad trades. The opponent cracks his Evolving Wilds. Just for the island. He does have double blue now. So if we find a black source, we can play the Anointed Deacon too. I wonder if that's better. We got into 6 here. If we do that, then the Vampire could swing in, and it gains us 3 life. Probably better than playing the Revenant. Ugh, Soul Rapids I don't like, though. Okay, lands still are good. Not a land, unfortunately. I think we still swing with everything. My opponent is representing 8 damage in the air. We need to play a Vampire Revenant. He needs to not have a way to kill it. We swing here. He blocks. I guess the Vampire at least gets to trade. I think we have to hope he doesn't block like that. If he does block like that, we just have to take it. I think we have to swing here if we're going to have a shot. Okay, I'm okay with that. So in that case, we just gain a treasure, we play the Vampire Revenant, and then have the opportunity to Moment of Triumph. Block there. We're going to go up to 7, so we'll go to 1. Oh no, the Moment of Triumph will gain us life too. Okay, so we just let this happen. Play the Revenant. Pass back to my opponent. Again, my opponent has kill spells, my opponent has bounce spells, we lose. Okay, well that's actually not too bad. That's power 3 or less, we can actually completely block this. Go up to 9. My opponent won't swing into it, at least with the Kitesail Corsair, but it's a pretty big turn. Let's see. We find a land next turn, we play Anointed Deacon. We'd go down to 6 here. Play Anointed Deacon, we buff up the Vampire. I guess we bump up this guy. Spire Winder's still a problem in that case. I think we do just block. It gives us a little bit longer to find another threat, another way to get rid of the Spire Winder. Okay, we got a nice 2 for 2 there though. Gained a little bit of life. And stalled effectively. Oh no, recover. Ooh, getting back the Riverwise Augur, not the Soul of the Rapids. It's kind of interesting. I think I would have taken Soul. There's a recover of our own. That's much worse when we don't have tons and tons of mana at our disposal. We want to bluff attack. We're getting to the point where he can't really... Like, he has to start calling. So, I think probably not. There, Vampire Revenant. And pass. I really need to find a way to get rid of the Spire Winder. That's definitely public enemy number 1 here. Okay. So coming in with both, taking us down to 3. No, down to 4. Although, using Crashing Tide, bouncing that guy. Okay. Yep, can't do much about that. Okay, so we find a land, we can play Anointed Deacon. Ooh, Chupacabra is good. So we swing with the Paladin, offer the trade, which I imagine he'll take. We Chupacabra, kill the Spirewinder. We're still on the edge of death, but then we can either swing in with the Vampire if we have to, or Anointed Deacon. And I don't think we can bluff that. He has a trick that gets in for 1 extra point of damage, we still die. I guess that's true. We could have swung with the Vampire and maybe he would have blocked there. The 3 extra damage may have been relevant. Oh, this card's very good if we do get to a play Anointed Deacon at some point. Okay, that guy dies. Pass back. Uh-oh. He's tapping mana awfully fast. Okay, Anointed Deacon actually, while being a fine card, doesn't kill us or anything. So I like things that don't kill us. Unknown Shores. We can play our Anointed Deacon, swing in with the Vampire. We can trade his Anointed Deacon for ours. We gain 3 life, go up to 5. My opponent goes down to 4, unless he wants to trade. And we have Recover. I think that's our best line. This has been a very close game. Yes, we would. We've had a little bit of mana problems, but I feel like we played it pretty well. And our opponent hasn't had like a removal spell to really blow us out at any point. Ooh, opponent willing to trade. Come on, do it. I'd be so happy with that. Because we're going to have to trade our Anointed Deacons next turn anyway. Ooh, that's nice. I think I guess I don't know what the last card in my opponent's hand is. I think that's a mistake. Well, no. No, yeah, because we have to block. No, because we gain life. No, we don't. Crashing Tide. Okay. He knows about the Vampire Revenant in our hand. Okay, he gets to recover. It's a little bit unfortunate. Yeah, man, this is a close game. So we got into 3. If Ixalan's binding, we could just remove the Corsair. Then he starts getting in for 1 every turn. I think that's better than the Deacon. Oh yeah, so we play the Deacon, we die. So I guess the option is either binding or Revenant. I think we're just gonna play binding, get rid of the Corsair, and start taking 1 a turn. So we'll swing with the Chupacabra. I'm gonna put it down to 5. Play Ixalan's binding here. And exile the Corsair. That buys us the most time. It would be nice to get Recover back, but we can't use our mana effectively enough now anyway, so. Okay, no play is good for us. Hey, a red source. So this turn we can play Rapture Companion and the Revenant. Pretty good. Let's go ahead and swing with our Chupacabra. Take my opponent down to 3. Play the Revenant. And play the Rapture Companion. And hopefully that's just enough. Even if he has a removal spell, it's not quite enough to kill us off the freebooter. We will block. We don't want to lose to a combat trick. Getting Recover back would be terrible anyway. Okay. Ooh, okay, so he doesn't have anything. Alright. Oh, and Moment of Craving, that just won us the game. Moment of Craving, swing for 3, swing for everything. I think that we're just gonna go for that right now. Go to attacks, we'll swing with everything. Alright, hey, we got there. I think we were kind of playing on the defensive that whole game, but that felt pretty cool. I felt good about that. I wonder if we want to actually swap to green. He had a lot of flyers, and we do have like ample access to Plummet. I think flyers are how he's hoping to win the game. So we play white-green. What's our payoffs? Probably cut something on the top end. Things like all these Diviner just aren't very good, though. And actually, like, let's see. We would bring in, like, probably 2 of these effects. Didn't see any enchantments, but we bring in, like, 2 plummets. We cut 1 Colossal Dreadmaw, cut Squire's Devotion, because he's got a lot of bounce. Something like that. Kind of interesting. If we play this color, we get a little bit more removal, and actually the Moment of Cravings are pretty good against, like, the Freebooter. It's not as good against the Spiral Winder. We play this combination, we cut like Squire's Devotion, bring in what? Another Vampire Revenant? Squire's Devotion is really nice if it does ever stick. Just the life gain I think is pretty important. I think I still like our black better. Things like Chupacabra and Moment of Craving are just very solid. And I think we can win on the ground, or hit in on the ground against my opponent anyway. I think let's run this back. I could see it being correct though, given our plummets. Maybe we see a bunch more flyers this last game. Alright, it took a long time in that game. Oh man, another mulligan. Alright. Oh, this is pretty bad too. We're gonna keep, like I said, I hate going to 5. Gonna bottom that. If we find any land, we have Moment of Craving and Dusk Legion Zealot. Does a pretty good job of stalling. We do need to find a land though. On the plus side, I guess if we lose here, it won't matter that we took a lot of our time in the first match. At least if we lose quickly. No play. Land? Come on, land? Ooh. Alright. We really need to hit it now. We start having to discard, I think the game is just over. Alright. Find a land, we can still Moment of Craving. Come on, land. Okay, nice. Nice. Not gonna play the Zealot, because that actually would overdraw us. Is there anything that pumps his power? Probably not. I think it's real likely that he'll pump it, but I guess we No, I guess you could have like crashing wave. Yeah, let's just kill it here. Okay, so I don't think we're terrible now. We've got Dusk Legion Zealot, Moment of Craving, some other good stuff to find. Deadeye Brawler's bad, but at least it's not ascended quite yet. Plains? Come on, Plains. Alright, Stone Quarry, actually that's pretty okay. Don't hate playing the Dusk Legion Zealot anyway. This is actually kind of a land where maybe we can, or a turn where we can get away with playing the Stone Quarry. Okay, so we're coming out of this kind of gracefully. Oh wow, 2 of them? Ugh. Man, Ixalan's Binding would have been absurd if we'd had it on time. Tully's good. Well, I guess we will play our Hammer Skull and continue to hope that he doesn't get to the point where he can ascend. These guys do double block with Moment of Craving if we end up leaving it up. We may end up having to just take 2-for-1s though against these brawlers. Yeah, our lands have not been kind to us this match. Yeah, we're just taking it. At least it's not drawing cards. That's the silver lining. Vampire Revenant. Alright. We just play Revenant of our own. And double block these guys. He's at how many permanents? 1, 2, 3. Or he's at 8. So there's a pretty good chance, like I said, he can ascend next turn. Could just Ixalan's Binding. Ugh, I feel like we're gonna have to let him draw a card. The eternal struggle. He has like Crashing Wave or something, we get so blown out though. We try and use Moment of Craving, it's not even that mana efficient. Question is then, I guess, do we let him draw 2 cards? I guess we maybe Ixalan's Binding, just swing. We take 5. This is the best if he has any sort of removal. Alright, well I'm not gonna say the 2 brawlers ain't ruining my day, just a little bit. No point in not attacking here. I don't think it's real likely my opponent's got a haste effect. I guess I should have actually let him block if you wanted to block. Well, I guess don't give your opponents free choices, but I'd be okay with him trading either of those. Alright, Pirate's Prize is nice. That's actually keeps him from getting to ascend. Oh, actually, never mind. Oh man, he has it. That's rough. And he's got a way to get rid of the Moment of Craving. Okay. Not to be done about that. That was a pretty good combination of plays, though. And I imagine well, I guess maybe he had the Kitesail Corsair beforehand. Yeah, once these guys start drawing cards, it's tough. Lands? Lead lands. Another Binding. We take 4, go down, play a Vampire Revenant, trade. I think this is still public enemy number 1. Alright. We take my opponent down to 14. He's going to take us down to 6 here. We're going to play a Vampire Revenant and trade with his Revenant, hopefully. He has 5 cards in hand, though, so... I mean, any combination of, like, bounce spells, good removal. There's a lot of ways we can lose here. He knows basically everything in our hand, too. Up to and including a Tolly. Which we had the mana for, kind of. We had the double red, but not the 6 lands for this game. Cover, turning Kitesail Corsair. Okay, that's a problem. Just more flying attackers are not what we'd like to see. Okay, still no lands. I guess we can still swing at the Hammer Skull. Let's see, we're gonna play that. He'd swing us down to 1 if he has any sort of effect. I guess we should just stick tight. Play as conservatively as we can. Keep from taking any extra damage. Although, I guess if he has a way to kill off, like a way to interact there, he'd kill the Revenant anyway, and we're just dead. Alright. Opponent has got us here. Yep. Well, a little bit of a shame. Definitely, the mulligan was not fantastic to us, but I think we still have a decent chance going to our last game, too. He has a lot of flyers. I still think this deck's just quite a bit better than the green deck, though. Element is just so efficient. It really is kind of tempting. Like, these are going to have so many targets. What do we lose? We lose the Moment of Cravings, which are, I guess, actually pretty similar to Plummet against a lot of his deck. Not all of it. And we lose, like, Chupacabra. What do we get? Some, like, reasonable 2-drops. Not better than we have, really, though. Carnage Tyrant is top end. I think that losing out on all the Vampire Revenants is bad, though. Even though they're a little bit more expensive than a lot of what my opponent does, they're not a great tempo play. They do still trade. Yeah. Squire's Devotion still seems awkward. I don't know, we're ending in races a lot, so if we get like one good Squire's Devotion hit, maybe that's enough. I think that's probably still incorrect. Okay, let's run this back. Would like to play first. I think we'll keep. We still need to find planes, like... This hand isn't particularly good to us either, but... Dusk Legion Zealot means we'll get to draw an extra card along the way, and if we do find white, this hand ends up being fairly good. Really, we need double white, but... Once mulligan down to 5, though. Pretty bad start. It may mean that even if we have kind of an awkward, dirtily start, opponent even bottom too, so... Man, this match has been, like, just completely dominated by mulligans. Come on, land. Plains, specifically. Yeah, Moment of Craving's good. It's no plains, but it was good. We're running 16 lands, right? Or 17 lands? I'm not somehow shooting myself in the foot there. Land? Come on. Man, we just can't catch a break here. Okay, well, we'll pass. If you play something that dies to Moment of Craving, we're pretty happy about it, but... Alright, land. We really need this. Okay. I will take it. I mean, I can understand that we were playing like a lot of tapped lands or a lot of awkward lands like Evolving Wild or Stone Quarry and the like, but... Okay. Dusk Charger looks less good after a mulligan. Land, come on, land. Hey! We like that land. We want to swing in... I guess we could kill it between Moment of Triumph and Moment of Craving, right? Yeah, we can. And I guess otherwise we'll play Vampire Revenant. I think I'll just take it here, but that's fine. We weren't going to block anyway. Alright, we're off to the races, kind of. I guess he's off to the races, he's the one with the horse. Well, he looks like he actually had a flooded hand, probably, and pitched lands, because I mean, he hasn't missed a land drop yet. We have been super, super dirtily, both of us, these games, though. No one's had, like, a crazy good curve out. I think the closest we've come is his turn, or his game 1 curve out, which was like 2-2-4 or something like that. Pirate's Prize, not a bad one. Can maybe help him recover a little bit here. And Dusk Charger's, I mean, a little bit closer to ascending, too. He's still 3 permanents off, but getting there. Finding a land would be great. We'd love to play Anointed Deacon here. Land? Plains, specifically? Okay. Well, we could cast Luminous Bonds on it just straight up. Would I rather use up lots of combat tricks? Probably not. I guess let's just Luminous Bonds this guy and swing. Unknown Shores doing a reasonable job of pretending to be a Plains here. We have 2, like, Ixalan's Bindings, like... Okay. Freebooter is pretty good. We can always get the card back if we need to, though. I imagine he's taking the Moment of Craving. It's the only thing that deals with it immediately and easily. Moment of Triumph still means he can't block the Vampire Revenant, though. Yeah. I think that is correct, though. Well, that's kind of interesting. Moment of Triumph and Moment of Craving. That's gotta be the same art. I didn't even think about that. That's pretty sweet. Time of Salvation is at hand. Time of Condemnation is at hand. Huh. I always like it when they do that sort of thing with cards. That's pretty cool. I hadn't noticed until now. Okay, Riverwise Augur means that he's going to be able to get some reasonable filtering value. We still have a slight advantage on board, but he's drawn a good number of cards to replace, kind of help him out of his mulligan, and he has lands and we don't, so I'm going to double check we're playing 17 lands. I swear we are, but all 3 games we've been stuck at like 4. Okay, Fathomfleet Border, not particularly exceptional. Guess we'll swing with the Revenant, not with the Augur. If he wants to block, I'm perfectly fine taking that at the moment of triumph. But I imagine he won't. He did just see it. But yeah, I mean, if he wants to block, I'm pretty okay with that. And play Fathomfleet Border. This is actually a 3/3 on this board is not insignificant threat, even though it's going to shoot us in the face when we play it. Yeah, my opponent seems like he's perennially drawing a few too many lands, and we're drawing a few too few, but the games have been fun. They've all been pretty close. Well, I guess our second game wasn't super close. The first one was, though, and this one was at least kind of interactive. Ooh, wow, Golden Demise. Alright, that's pretty good. I am filling the wreckage here. I mean, as Golden Demises go, that's actually maybe not as absurd as it can be, but that hurt. That felt pretty good. He gets to crash in for 5 now if he wants to. And then he takes 3 coming back. Definitely gonna swing with the freebooter, I'm sure. He has like a moment of craving here. We're in pretty terrible shape. Okay. Well, we're definitely on the downside as far as tempo goes here. Oh, that's true. He just played the Dinosaur Hunter. That makes things a little bit less bad. Queen's Commission. We cannot catch a land to save our life here. I guess we play that. It's a little bit more mana efficient because it's white-based. We will double block and trade with either of these guys, I think, and that's okay. I don't know, it's really good with the Anointed Deacon, though. And I guess we could, next turn, keep up Moment of Triumph and swing in. So maybe we won't block, but we will play these guys anyway. Over the Fathomfleet Border. Man, I felt like our hand was even good this time. Or at least, I guess we didn't have planes. But it felt like it was fine. Voracious Vampire. Alright. Good card. Doesn't do too terribly tons there. But a good card nonetheless. We can swing in with a lot. It takes us down to 9. If we find a land, though, Anointed Deacon comes in, and we're right back in it. We gain a bunch of life from the vampire token. Yeah. I think I'm not going to block. I think the upside of having the vampire tokens is pretty high. Land? Hey. Still not planes, but alright. Let's smack in with one of these guys. Yes, we would. So if he has like another bounce spell, we're starting to look, we're kind of in trouble, but assuming he's just got a bunch of lands, we gain some life. We still have, I mean, Moment of Triumph, which we can play if we need to. We have access to Ixalan Binding now, which, while slow, is still good. Oh man, another Golden Demise? Ouch. Yeah, that's a reason you're playing the blue-black Ascend deck, I suppose. He does have to have a creature. Yeah. If we find planes, does he die? Is he dead? 3, 5, 7. Get rid of it. Huh, I think we win, actually. Wow. Oh, no, we can't play double white. No, we can. We have 6, yeah. Don't want to use that. I guess add that. 1, 2, 3. Wow, man, we snatched that from the jaws of defeat. So swing with the Anointed Deacon. By Moment of Triumph. Oh, up to 7? Alright. Woohoo, man. That was a heck of a draw. Well, no. I guess that was just kind of an aggressive play. And we hit our planes right on time. Whew, man, it felt like we were fighting from behind both the games we won that game, but it was satisfying. It was an exciting finish. The deck seems good. I do think I like the decision to play this over the green variety, although we did draw Anointed Deacon like every game. That's one of our best black payoffs. But, I mean, still, it was a pretty good payoff. In any case, I'll see you guys for match 2.